All right, let's get started this morning. Welcome to everybody who's here. Carolina and Lucia, good morning.
Hi, teacher. Good morning.
Good morning, teacher.
Good morning.
Good
It's good
morning,
to have
Carol.
you here. To have you here. Okay, so let's kind of get up to speed about where we're at right now with our class, and then we'll go straight into checking homework and adding to our learning today. So first of all, we've got some things coming up in the next 2 weeks. So you guys know what is going to be due this Friday? Who can tell me? Who remembers what to do? Yeah, go ahead.
I can tell, teacher. So this Friday we have to work in our lab assignments, and we have to finish or deliver or process paragraph.
Yes.
And what else? I think that's all.
Those are the major assignments, yes. Good. So we are turning in a big paragraph. Now, your homework last week over the weekend was to turn in or email me what your ideas are for your process paragraph, okay? I'm just talking about ideas. I'm not talking about sending me your whole paragraph over last weekend. I just wanted to see what your topic was, and then a topic sentence, and then what you're thinking about with your 3 or 4 supporting points, okay? And I'm glad I did that because there are several of you that gave me some supporting points, and it was not a process kind of planning paragraph. So it's really important to do very good planning and preparation before you actually put all your time and effort into writing, right? I don't want you to just spend an hour or two writing a paragraph and then you turn it in and it's not even what you're supposed to be writing about, right? It's not even following the structure for this type of assignment. So there are several of you that have still not submitted your topic sentence to me. So I'm not grading that right now. I'm just advising you to go ahead and check with me before you start writing your big paragraph, okay? Because on Friday, you guys are going to turn in the paragraph through Blackboard in the Turnitin where you have to click on that and upload your paragraph, okay? So on Friday, it will be too late for you to check with me to see if you've got the right topic and the right ideas, okay? So does anybody have questions about that now as we're talking about it?
Not for me, teacher.
Okay, anybody else?
No, teacher.
Okay. And just a heads up, I wanted you to know about the last paragraph that we're going to do. Okay, I wrote it down here in the red letters at the bottom. Our final paragraph is worth 25% of your total average for this class. I'm really putting a lot into this paragraph. It's going to be a compare contrast paragraph. Okay. And what's special about that is it's going to be timed. I'm writing this down, so hold on a second. Okay, so it's going to be timed. All right, you have 2 hours to complete it. once you access it. Okay, so I'll repeat this several times over the next few weeks to make sure everybody has the idea, okay? Because I don't want anybody to be surprised. So just so you know, when you do access that paragraph prompt, the timer will start as soon as you click on it, okay? The timer does not start when you are ready to submit the assignment, okay? So, for example, you have between November 7th and November 11th to get in there and do the assignment, do the paragraph. That does not mean that you have 5 days from starting to write it to finishing to write it. You don't have 5 days to work on the paragraph, basically, okay? What you have is you've got 5 days. You have to pick a day and a time when you have 2 hours of uninterrupted time, and you're going to go into My Writing Lab, and I'll show you more a little bit later where the assignment is, but you're going to go in, and when you click on it and you open that assignment, the timer will begin, okay? So it's going to count down for 2 hours, and you have to submit that assignment before the 2 hours is over. If you don't, you will not be able to submit the assignment, okay? Is everybody clear about that?
Yes, teacher.
Yes, teacher.
Okay. And again, I'll show you more as we get closer to that date. But I just want you to be prepared that you will not see the topics until the timer starts. Okay, so when you click on it and you open it, there's going to be 5 compare contrast topics, and you're going to read them, pick one of them, and begin writing. Okay, so all of your planning, all of your preparation, your writing, your editing, all has to be completed in a 2-hour time window, okay? And I won't be able to help you with ideas or, do I have a good topic sentence? I won't be able to help you with any of that. It's just going to be you on your own, very independent writing, okay? So, that being said, this week is your opportunity to ask a lot of questions, try to find for your specific needs, for your writing, problems that you've been having, to get some answers to your questions and to really help yourself become prepared for that final writing assignment. So this week you're working on your process paragraph and you have time to work on it. You can even go and set up an appointment with the writing tutor, okay? And they can do online appointments where you can share your paragraph. They can give you ideas or just help you edit. They will not actually edit your paper for you, but they can help you say, hey, you've got some subject-verb agreement problems, or you've got a couple of comma splices, you need to correct these. So, now is the time to get that help that you need in the extra practice, okay? Final paragraph is really important because it will help me see what your real skills are with writing, okay? So I don't want you to go into level and be unprepared, okay? That's my goal. I want you to be in level 2 if you can demonstrate the skills that are needed to get through level 2, okay? So this class is going by really quickly, plus it's online, so sometimes that's challenging for people. So don't get discouraged if some of your grades are low. It doesn't mean that you're a terrible writer, okay? It just means you've got skills to work on, and everybody has skills that they need to work on. So hopefully I'm giving you enough information to prepare you for your future, okay? Because I'd be surprised or upset in the future, if you say, well, I didn't know it was timed, or I didn't know it was going to be, you know, a compare contrast topic or whatever. So I'm preparing you now for that. Now, you don't know anything about compare contrast right now, and that's okay. On Tuesday of next week, we are going to talk about compare contrast. So we have a week and a half, a week to a week and a half, where I can show you how to write that type of paragraph, okay? And I'll show you examples and things like that. So does anybody have questions about what's coming up towards the end of our class here?
No, teacher, I don't have any question.
Okay, good. So this week, and then we've got 2 more weeks, and then we are done. The last day of class is November 12th, and my goal is to grade your everything, turn it in to Blackboard, and then let you look at those comments, because after the 12th, I don't think you're going to be able to access Blackboard anymore, okay? So I want to try to get everything posted in there so you can see it before the class is over. So on the 13th of November, you won't be able to access your grades. I have to turn in your grades. So you can't turn in your last paragraph on a Friday. It's going to have to be on Wednesday, the 11th. That will be the last day for that last paragraph. Just be aware of that coming up in the next few weeks, that the 12th is our last day of class. That is on a Thursday, okay? And I cannot grade anything. I cannot turn in any grades after the 12th. So you have to have everything finished on the 11th, and then I'll post your grades for you on the 12th. Okay? Everybody good with that?
Yes, teacher.
Yes, teacher.
Okay, good. So let's step back a little bit and look about what we covered last week. We talked about 2 types of comma rules. One is the series comma, and series commas have a list of items. So maybe you have 3 subjects all together. My friends, my mother, and I all went to a movie together, right? Got 3 subjects, or you can have 3 adjectives, 3 prepositional phrases, 3 verbs. When you have 3 or more of something and you're listing them, you need to use commas between each of those items. So that's called a series comma, or series commas, okay? And the second type of comma rule we talked about was introductory word or phrase. Who can tell me the rule for that? How do we use those introductory phrase commas? If you want, you can look at page 39, but who can tell me the basic idea with the introductory phrase comma?
We have to apply a comma after an introductory word or phrase.
Okay, good. And what are introductory words or phrases? What does that mean?
Introductory words is yes, honestly, however, for example, and introductory phrases are like
Right.
as a matter of in the middle of the meeting.
So you're reading from page 39. Yeah, there's examples. That's good. There's examples on page 339. Introductory words and phrases look like. Today I'm going to try to give you some better idea of how to recognize what an introductory word or phrase is. So basically what we want to look for is transition words. Transitions are like however, for example, therefore, first, Those are all transitions. And remember way back beginning of our book, there was a blue chart, and it was a chart of transitions. We talked about those words a lot in this course. So if you want to, you can go back and look at those. But transitions have those commas after them.
Okay.
Okay. And then we also want to look for verbs like honestly, clearly, essentially. Sometimes they end with ly and sometimes they don't. But those are introductory words. And we also have another type of introductory thing called a phrase. So these are going to be mostly prepositional phrases, and we've already studied those. So I'm giving you example up here on the screen. If you want to look at my sentence in the red, for number one, I'm showing you here a prepositional phrase that comes at the beginning of a sentence, okay? And then it has a comma after it. And then what comes after the comma? What always will come after the comma? Who remembers? Something that's special about these. After in every introductory comma, and then we always have what after it. Who remembers? Wow, has it been that long since our last class? Do you remember?
Teacher, I don't understand. I don't understand your question.
My question is, after this comma, my arrow that I put after this comma right here on the screen, we always have what?
A fanboy.
Nope. Fanboys will be when we have a compound sentence.
Oh, yes. You're right.
Okay, maybe we need to do some investigation in our book. Look at page 339 again. Is everybody there?
Yes,
Page
teacher.
39. I want us to go through these examples where they put that comma there. They say, comma, I will help you finish the project. Does everybody see that?
Yes, teacher.
In the middle of the page. I want you to label the subject and the verb. Just right now in your book or on paper. If
Yes,
you need,
teacher.
you can write it. Okay, subject. What's the subject, class?
Oh. I
I.
Okay, good. So we put S for I. Verb.
help.
Help.
Will help. Will help is the conjugated verb. It's conjugated because it has a tense. It's future tense. Okay? So let's go to the second one. After the comma, you define the subject and the verb.
You.
You.
You good. And the verb?
Reconsider.
Should reconsider. Again, this one has got two parts to the verb. Reconsider. Okay? That's the verb. So if you go through these, you'll see a pattern. After the comma, what do we have?
Subject and verb.
The subject.
Ding, 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 ding. You got it. Look at the screen here. I'm circling it. After the comma, we always have a subject and a verb. So that's why they're called introductory phrases, because they are going to introduce the subject and the verb. It's like saying, ladies and gentlemen, are you ready to see the subject and the verb? That's my introduction, right? I'm giving an introduction to the main part of the sentence, which is the subject and the verb. So that introductory comma goes right before the subject.
Okay.
Right? This is different from compound sentences. Like Lucia, you said, oh, we need a fanboys. No, because why? Look at the left side of the comma. It says, after a long day at work on my screen here. After a long day at work. Do you see a subject and verb?
No, teacher.
No,
No.
no, there is
At
no subject.
Yeah, at work, not a verb, because we have at. We're talking about a place. At Walmart, at my house, work. These are places. So after a long day at work, there's no subject or verb on that side. So this is not a compound sentence.
Okay.
Okay, this one is a simple sentence. One subject verb pair. Okay, any questions about that?
No, teacher.
No.
Okay, let's go to example, and then we'll go to page 339 and check our homework. So Gerardo, you put, my brother started to write this morning. He didn't, and we're missing the D, know what to write. This is a good sentence. You have the comma in the right place. But what you just did, use a transition. You used you made a complex sentence, which is on page 343.
Okay.
So it's a good sentence, but yours does not have a transition. Yours has what we call a dependent clause. You notice that you have a subject, brother, verb, started.
Yes, teacher.
So when we're talking about introductory words and phrases, the introductory part does not have a subject and verb. Okay, remember we put over here, after a long day at work. There's no subject and there's no verb right there.
Yes.
Okay. So let's go back to number 2 and let's try to make one that has a transition. Let me give you guys an example. Okay, just a simple example. Now, it's okay if we just put this sentence. I know you're thinking, well, I don't understand what happened. What I'm just showing you, we've got a transition, therefore, and then we have a comma after it. And then what comes after that? After the comma, class?
Subject.
The number.
Yeah. So normally in a paragraph, we would have a sentence before this, like it was snowing, or there were bad accidents on the road, or something like that. Then we would have a word like therefore, comma, we stayed at home. But what we're trying to show here is just how to use that comma. So what we're looking at is a transition word, comma, and then a subject and verb that makes a complete sentence. Okay, guys. So if you don't have any questions, let's go to practice 2, page 339, and check our homework. Practice 2, page 339. So number 1, you should have 4 commas. 4 commas that you add to number 1. So does anybody want to tell me where? Why don't we go to Carolina? Can you tell us where we're going to put those 4 commas?
The first one I think is after 2009.
Yes. But where's the next one?
Therefore,
Yes. Therefore. And then what's the next one?
After much discussion.
Yes, after much discussion. So that is called a prepositional phrase. The preposition after you have a noun, discussion. Okay, good. And there's one more that is also a prepositional phrase. Well, actually, no. Well, yes, it is. Let's see, to attracted. It's actually an infinitive phrase. But anyways, it is a phrase. So what's the next one on number 1? It's to attract attention. You notice to attract attention, that little part have a subject and verb. It's not part of a subject and verb because the subject is the team and the verb created. Okay? So don't be confused when you see, oh, it looks like a verb. So maybe attention is a subject. No. We don't put verbs before subjects most of the time, okay? So to attract attention does not have a subject and verb in there. It's just a phrase, okay? The subject is the team and the verb created. Okay? Any questions about that?
No, teacher.
No, teacher.
Okay, good. Let's go to number 2. Who has number 2 that can help us? We're looking for 6 commas in number 2.
I can do it, teacher.
Okay, go ahead.
Comma after first.
Yes.
We have a comma after furthermore.
Yes, furthermore.
We should put a comma after certainly.
Certainly. We say certainly.
Certainly.
Yeah.
And we have a comma after in addition.
That's a transition. Good.
And we have a comma after yes. And we have a comma after primarily.
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 Good. Primarily.
And that's it.
Okay, good. Any questions about those that Gerardo found?
No,
No,
teacher.
teacher.
Okay, good. So to move a little faster, I gave you number 3. So number 3, comma after naturally, after finalists, after contract, after caretaker, and after currently. All right, so I wrote it up on the screen to make sure you can check those. These are all introductory commas. So after the comma, you're going to see the subject and the verb in these sentences. Anybody have questions about introductory phrase commas?
No, teacher.
No.
Okay, today we're going to talk about interrupting words and phrases. Interrupting words or phrases. What does it mean to interrupt? What does that word mean? Let's try to understand that.
pause, maybe?
A pause is the same as interruption. How many of you have kids? Does anybody have kids?
Yes, me, teacher.
And do you remember times, I'm sure you can think of many times when you were talking to an adult, a friend, somebody, and your child comes and says, "Mommy, mommy, mommy, mommy." Right?
Oh, yes.
That is called an interruption. It is not a pause. I wish it was a pause. I wish that my kids would just pause sometimes and be quiet. But interruption is different. Interruption stops what we're doing, right? And then you have, so it redirects your attention on your child, right? And say, okay, go, go, go. What happens after the interruption? You go back to your conversation, right?
Okay.
So that is what happens when we call this interrupting word and phrase. What's happening is we have a sentence, we have a complete sentence, but in the middle of the sentence, we interrupt the flow of the sentence, and we insert some little words or phrases. Okay, so let me give you an example. Look at page 340. 340. Kind of down towards the page. Do you see that example sentence? It says, "My coworker."
Yes, teacher.
Yes.
Gerardo, can you read that for me, please?
Yes. My coworker, for example, has never taken a sick day.
Okay, so do you see the transition word?
Yes, teacher.
Okay,
For
what is the transition?
example,
Okay, for example, remember we talked about with introductory phrases. Remember we said we can use transitions at the beginning of a sentence, right?
yes.
Well, we can also use transitions. We can interrupt the sentence and we can put them in the middle sentence. So look at the example on the for number one. I've said transitions can interrupt. So I have a sentence. I have a good sentence. My coworker has never taken a sick day. Okay, that is a complete sentence.
Okay.
So what when I use these interrupting commas is I'm going to come in here and I'm going to put a comma after coworker. And then I have my transition, for example. And then what's after the for example?
Subject and verb.
No, because the verb is has never or has taken. The subject is coworker. But what do you see right after the for example? Look at the for example. What do I put right after that?
Oh, comma.
A comma. So guess what? I've got two commas, and this is important to note. If you only put one comma, then it's not an interrupting word and phrase. Okay? You have to be careful with these. One comma is not good because what I'm doing is in order to interrupt the sentence, I have to have two commas. So there's a beginning to the interruption and there's an end to the interruption. Okay? Again, think of the example of your child coming to you. Mommy, 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 mommy. That is the beginning of the interruption. And then you look at them and say, okay, yes, okay, go, go, go. You know, and after you say go, that's the end of the interruption. Then you come back to your adult conversation. So an interruption has that beginning comma and the end comma. And you need to have both of those in there. Okay, any questions about this?
No,
No,
teacher.
teacher.
Okay, so I'm going to write an example here, and you guys tell me if it or not. Okay, so I lost my bank card, my debit card, let's say, and I can't make a deposit in my bank account. So I have this sentence here. The last time I made a deposit, therefore, was in August because I lost my debit card. So is this a good sentence? Did I use the commas correctly?
Yes. Mm, no.
Now, let's think about this because what we have to do is recognize if we've got interrupting phrase or if we have maybe a compound sentence or maybe we have something else, right? So how do we know if this is really interrupting or not? Let's look for subjects and verbs. The last time that I made a deposit, so actually time, the last time is a subject. That I made a deposit is called an adjective clause, okay? It does have a subject, I, verb made. But the main subject is the last time, and then was is a verb. The time was in August. So how many, do I have a compound sentence here? Do I have subjects and verbs on both sides of the comma?
No, it's not compound sentence
Yeah, it's
because
not compound. Don't need a fanboys. What I have is a transition word in the middle. And look at where it is. My transition word is in the middle of the subject that's on the left and the verb that's on the right. So guess what? The subject and the verb is like my adult conversation that I'm having with my friend. That's my main part of the sentence. And I do have an interruption. Therefore is the interruption. So I have a comma before it. Okay, so is that good? Am I finished?
no, you need the other comma on the right, to the right.
Yeah, you also need a comma. That's a really bad looking comma, but okay. You need to have a comma at the end of the interrupting word also. Okay? So before it and in it at the end. So notice in my definition I said, or the rule says, put commas around. That means the beginning and the end of interrupting
Okay.
words and phrases.
So if you put comma before therefore and after therefore, so the sentence becomes a complete sentence.
Basically, what you would be doing is showing that you're not starting a new clause or you're not starting another subject and verb, but you are just putting this in the middle of a subject verb pair. So like if I do want to use therefore, I cannot just have one comma before it. We never put just one comma before therefore. Okay, so I can do something like this though. I can say, okay, I lost my debit card a while ago. Therefore,
Okay.
comma, the last time I made a deposit was in August. You
Oh.
notice, I want you to notice the punctuation here. Period. after a go, not a comma.
Yes.
And then what I have is therefore with a comma. So what is this called?
Transition word.
What type of comma am I using after therefore in this example?
One more time.
What type of comma am I using after therefore?
What time of comma?
What type? What is the comma rule? Remember we talked about series comma, introductory comma, and now interrupting. So in this example that I just wrote, what comma am I using?
Introductory comma.
Exactly. That's an introductory comma right there. How do you know that's introductory? Because look, I started a new sentence with therefore. Then I have the comma. And then I have the subject the last time, the verb was. So you can compare the sentence before it and then this sentence. So the meaning is the same, but I changed the structure a little bit. You can use transitions in the middle of a sentence to have those interrupting commas, okay? Or you can use a transition at the beginning of a sentence and you put an introductory comma after it.
Okay.
All right, so I'm really giving you guys all the details here about commas, okay? This is why when you're looking at a sentence, you see commas in different places, and you're probably thinking, well, I don't know what the rule is for that. There is a rule there, but you have to be able to see the structure of the sentence, okay? And it always starts with finding subjects and verbs. That is the foundation of writing. You have to be able to locate and create subjects and verbs correctly, and then you build on that. Okay, you can add this information about commas and all that to your writing skills. So all that to say, I know this kind of looks like calculus up here on the screen, but all that to say, for interrupting phrases, I gave you an example there, and I give you an example here. Okay? In both examples, there's two commas, one before and one after the interrupting word or phrase. Okay? Any questions, class?
No, teacher.
No, teacher.
No, teacher.
Okay, let's look at another example of interrupting phrase. Okay, we can use a transition. We can also use an adverb. You guys know what adverbs are?
Yes, teacher. Like perfectly or like completely with ly to the end of the word or something like that.
Okay, yes, they sometimes they have ly, like clearly. Okay. Sometimes they don't, but we use adverbs to modify or describe verbs, adjectives, or other adverbs, or they can actually modify an entire sentence. So when I'm using these interrupting words that are adverbs, I'm going to be adding meaning or modifying the whole sentence. So let me give you an example. I'm talking about in this sentence I'm writing here. Let me write it first. If I can spell it right. Okay. Okay, so again, it's interrupting words and phrases go in the middle of one subject-verb pair. We don't use these a lot, so I'm just telling you now, in your paragraphs, you don't even really need to. Most of the time, we're going to use introductory commas and series commas, and also those in compound sentences. But just so you can see, look, I have a sentence here. Outdoor areas are to me. Okay, are calming is the verb. Very rare that we separate parts of a verb. Okay, we never separate a verb with only one comma. So once again, when we talk about interrupting, you talk about the word two commas, right? So 2 commas makes this okay. So I'm kind of breaking a big rule. I'm separating of a verb. Oh my gosh, that's very rare. But we can do that with adverbs, okay? And what I'm doing here is I'm saying essentially means it kind of means the most important thing is, or what I'm really trying to say is, so I can put it here in the middle. Most of the time we just put it at the beginning. Essentially, comma, outdoor areas are calming to me. Okay, but this is just an example where it's in the middle. Okay, let me show you one more way to use interrupting commas. And this is going to be with a definition. Sometimes we do this with definitions. And you'll see an example of this in your homework. I'm going to practice a little bit in your book in just a minute. I'll show you. But let me write this one up here. Okay, so we've got that is the interrupting phrase. Okay, so look at this. Again, I have a complete sentence. It says Yellowstone. I'm talking about Yellowstone National Park. If you guys have ever heard of that, it's a huge national park in the United States. They have wild animals like bears and wolves, and it's just a public place that you can go and camp and hike. Okay, so Yellowstone is on my list of places to visit. That is a complete sentence. So what I'm doing is I'm interrupting this sentence by using a definition or a description of something. So where it says a popular tourist attraction, this is not a subject or verb in here. Because remember, interrupting words and phrases are not subjects and verbs. Okay? So it's just a little phrase, popular tourist attraction. Okay? And what am I doing? I'm giving you a definition or a description of Yellowstone National Park. So I put comma before it and I put a comma after it. And that is an interrupting phrase. Okay, anybody have questions about these?
No, teacher.
Okay, so do you have a question, Lucia?
No, teacher.
Okay, so why don't we do 1 or 2 examples together? And let's look at page 341, practice 3. 341 at the top. 2 number one together. I want you to take a moment and think about interrupting words and phrases. I want you to find subjects and verbs if you can. And practice 3, page 341. I want you to do number 1, and then we'll talk about it. So I'll give you a couple minutes. Okay, so number 1, it says Neil Blumenthal, co-founder of Warby Parker, works with a modern business model for his company. I'm trying to read it without any expression because sometimes my voice will tell you where to put the commas. So what do you guys think about this one? I want to ask you, Lucia. Do you think that we need to add interrupting commas in number 1?
Mm, I think we need a comma before
Okay?
Compounder, Verb, Parker works. Maybe comma after works.
Okay, so here's the way to check. Sure. Take whatever you put inside the commas, okay? I want you to take those words out of a sentence and see if you still have a sentence. So in your sentence, it would be Neil Blumenthal with a modern business model for his company. So does that sound like a complete sentence to you? What do you think?
Implemental.
It's kind of tricky, but remember I said
No.
locate and verbs first. Because those
Yeah,
are
but-
not inside the commas, okay? So go ahead. What are you saying?
Yeah. It's not a complete sentence. Implemental with a modern business model for company. I think it's not a complete sentence.
Okay, so what can we do to move the comma?
Mm,
Do you need help? Do you need any help?
oh, yes. Sorry.
Okay, Carolina, do you need help?
Yes, teacher.
Okay, what do we do with this one? So remember, okay, why don't we start with this? Carolina, where's the subject and where's the verb in number 1?
The subject is Neil Blumenthal, and I
Yes.
think it's comma, and then after Warby Parker, comma.
Okay, so the subject is well, and what is the verb? What's the verb, Carolina? Works. Works. Okay, so Lucia, I want you to put a S for subject. Neil Blumenthal is subject. And V for verb. Works. Works. That's the verb. Okay. So we cannot have the introductory commas. We cannot include the verb inside the introductory comma. So we have to open the introductory after Blumenthal. We have to finish the introductory phrase after Parker. Okay? Because Blumenthal, comma, after Parker, comma, if we have that, then that means we can take that out and we still have a sentence. Neil Blumenthal works with a modern business model for his company. Okay, does that make sense, Lucia?
Yes, teacher. Makes sense.
So on the screen, just make a comma after Blumenthal. You can see in a comma after Parker.
Okay.
All right. So as an example, you guys are going to do practice 3 and 4 for homework. Okay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to switch gears a little bit, and I want to talk the process paragraph, and we're going to practice editing before we go today. Because editing means when we find mistakes in our own writing and we correct mistakes, right? We need to be able to find and correct mistakes. I want to keep reviewing the 5 major errors that we talked about last week. Okay, it was run-ons, comma splices, and fragments. Those are about we're talking about the structure of a sentence. Fragments means you're missing a subject or a verb. It's not complete. A run-on and a comma splice means you're putting two subject-verb pairs together and it's not joined correctly. Okay? So we've got run-on, comma splice, fragment. We have subject-verb agreement, errors. We have verb tense, errors. And then we've got verb form. Form means spelling or formation. Okay? And the last one was singular plural noun. Okay? References. So we're going to be practicing those, and at the same time, we're going to look at a process paragraph. And I just pulled up the wrong paragraph. Hold on a second. Let me find the right one. Yeah, here it is. Okay, so we're going to look at a process paragraph. The paragraph itself is actually really good. The topic is good. My ideas are good. The problem is there's a couple of errors in here, and I want to see if you guys can work together to find the errors. So on the top left side of your screen, I want you to zoom in. Click on that little magnifying glass on the top left and zoom in to where you can see this. Can everybody read sentences? Yes or no?
I can read.
Yes, teacher.
Okay. So what you're going to do with you guys together, let's see, we've got 3 people, so we can't do pairs. It's just going to be the 3 of you working together. I want to see if you can find 7 errors in this paragraph. Okay. Now remember, I said the ideas are good, the organization is good, but there's some sentence structure errors. Okay, there's a couple of words or commas or problems with verbs, things like that. So I'm going to give you guys about 5 to 10 minutes. And since you can't, I don't think you can draw on this screen. Can you guys draw here? I can draw. I don't know if you guys can.
Yes, we can.
Okay, good. So we need to have one person in charge of markers. Who wants to be the one who's writing on the screen?
I can mark the errors.
Okay, good. So you can use the T at the top of your screen. You'll see a letter T.
Yes.
That will let you type in. Okay, and you can also use the draw a line. You can cross out a word, whatever you need to do. Okay. Any questions about what we're doing right now? Okay, guys, I will be so proud of you if you can find all 7 errors. So go ahead and get started. I'm going to turn off my video camera. Go ahead and go.
Okay.
Okay, I think the first error is in the first line.
Actually, it's gone.
Oh,
We have
I'm
been.
sorry.
Teacher, we can.
Yeah, the paragraph
The
teacher is gone. We cannot see it in our screen.
It went away. Okay. Okay. Let me see if I can find out where it is. Hold on one second.
Okay.
Okay, I found it. Actually, I think I posted the wrong one. So let me give you guys this one. Sorry about this. It's okay. We still have time. All right, let me put this one. I have to put it in PDF. Okay. Okay. Now you guys see that one.
Yes, teacher.
Okay, it's basically the same thing, but I had a couple of different ones saved, and I think I put the wrong one up. Okay, so go ahead.
I think the first sentence is okay. What do you think? Hello?
Yes, I agree with you.
Oh, okay. Carolina?
Yes, I agree.
Okay.
I think in the
I wonder if we need a comma
yeah,
after
in the
including.
second sentence.
Including?
Do we need a comma after included?
There is a
I don't know
comma.
if this comma is.
After olive oil, we need a
Yes,
comma.
yes, after all. Let me try to put something there now. Okay. Um, what do you think about the after the garlic adds flavor to the oil, the basils adds aroma? Do you think that comma is okay?
Which line?
The third sentence?
The comma after oil?
Mhm. I think we need a fan voice instead we have N. we have to have in. What do you think?
Okay. Yes.
What do you
The garlic adds flavor to the oil and the bait.
instead de? Do you think N is better? What do
Yeah.
you think? N? Okay.
And
I think when it says while the tomato sauce was boiling, it is boiling.
While the tomato sauce was, is right. Yeah.
Yes.
With that,
Yes.
what do you think after next? Crush the tomato and cook them. I think them is not very good there. I think it's because they say singular crush the tomato. I think it's tomatoes, change tomatoes or change them. What do you think?
In which sentence? I'm sorry.
It's gonna be fourth sentence before the last one that you say to be
Okay.
correct. After en aroma is next crush the tomato
Yeah.
and cook them. So tomato is singular and them is plural. So we can add a s. What do you think?
Mhm. Yeah, it sounds weird, but I don't know.
Uh,
Okay, you have about 1 more minute, and you guys are doing great. Gerardo, since you're doing the typing, why don't you just type in what you think? If some people are not sure, or it's okay, we'll come back and talk about it.
okay.
Yeah, we'll come back. So you got 1 more minute. Okay, any more ideas? Anybody? Like you guys found 3. There are 7 total. Okay, is that it?
in the line 6, I maybe the word tangy.
It's okay.
Yeah,
It's just
okay.
an adjective to describe taste.
Okay.
Okay, why don't here, and it's okay if you don't have all of them. I wanted to just give you a chance to take a look at this before I just tell you the answers, right? The first thing I want to do before we check these, I want everybody to look in your book on page 57. Okay, let's go to page 57 in your book. Is everybody there?
Yes, teacher.
Okay, so let's talk about two things. I want to talk about what the supporting details and the organization looks like for a process paragraph. And I also want to talk to you about the sentence structure and the grammar, which is on your screen here, what you guys were working on. So there's different layers that we bring when we write a paragraph. We want to focus on the format, the organization of our ideas, and we also want to focus on the commas and the periods and the sentence structure and all of that. So let's start by looking at, again, what is a process paragraph? Process is always describing the steps to do something. Okay, that means you have a starting point and you have an ending point. And how do you get from this point to this point? Okay, so say, for example, how do you get from your house to TCC? That will be a process. You could make a process paragraph. Turn left on Seminary Drive. Then you turn right at the stop sign or whatever it is, right? It has steps. It is also in time order. Okay? In time order means if you take your last point and you try to put it as your first point, it's not going to make sense. That is one way to know if it's time order. So let's take our spaghetti sauce paragraph. Let's take our last point where it says finally, see here, it says finally taste the sauce. Sausage. If I take this point and I put it way up at my first point, do you think that that paragraph will make sense?
No, because it's finally. It's the final part.
Right. I cannot say first sauce and add sausage. Right? I cannot use my last point up on my first point because it doesn't make sense. It's like saying from my house to TCC, first pull into the parking lot at TCC. That doesn't make sense. You know, if you're giving directions, you always have to start at where they are and then you can move them to the end or the finish, right? So I want you to remember that as you're writing your paragraph. We're not describing different ways that spaghetti is a good sauce, or we're not describing different parts of the world that eat spaghetti sauce. We have to follow a time order steps, okay? So that's your first point. Some students were struggling with actually creating a process, okay? Process is not the same as a classification and illustration type of paragraph. With classification and illustration, you can move your points in different places, okay? You can move those around. Like if I say 3 reasons why people come to the United States: get a job, get an education, and be in a safe place. I can take my third point, safe place, and I can put that as my first one. In that case, it doesn't matter. It's okay to do that. It is a classification paragraph, okay? Time order does not matter. It's not important in a classification. In process, time order is very important. So make sure you keep that in mind as you're writing. I don't want you to lose points just because you didn't organize the paragraph in the right format. So that's one point. Also on page 57, look at the bottom they give you a process paragraph. This is another example you can look at to say, wait, am I doing this correctly? Look at what they say. Topic sentence. With careful preparation and screening, you can find a mate. Mate is like boyfriend, girlfriend, or partner online. You can find a partner online. So step 1, prepare by finding a reliable dating site. That is the first supporting point. Now under that you have details. The details are important to add into your paragraph. You do not want to write a paragraph and just say, first, find a reliable dating site, then interesting profile, then screen replies carefully, then you don't want to go first, then next, finally. You need to have some details in between steps. So notice that the details they give in step 1 are more specific things you can do when you're looking at a dating site. So you want to ask friends about the sites. What sites do they use when they're dating online? Make sure that the site or the website targets people in your area. Okay, so these are things you do while you're trying to find a reliable dating site. So those are details we want to add in the paragraph. Now let's go back to the spaghetti paragraph. Notice it says first, get the ingredients. Tomatoes, basil, cloves, right? Next sentence, I did not say next, right? Or second, I didn't go to my second point yet. Actually use more description about the ingredients, right? The garlic adds flavor and the basil adds aroma. Aroma is like a smell, okay?
Yeah.
So again, I'm giving details about the first step, okay? Does everybody see what we're doing here?
Yes, teacher.
Okay, good.
Yes.
So that was a little bit, I wanted to help you guys as you start writing your paragraphs this week. I want you to think about that, think about your organization, okay? So here's what we're going to do. You guys did pretty good at finding 3 of the mistakes. So I will give you credit for that. You guys found 3 mistakes. So I'm going to give you check marks for those. But I'm not going to tell you what all the mistakes are until Thursday. Thursday, we're going to come back and talk about the mistakes. I want to give you guys a little more time to work on this on your own. And I really want you to get in there and look for verb mistakes. Okay, there's another verb mistake in here, and there's a comma mistake. Okay, so I want you to look for that. And then also, there is a mistake in the first sentence. In the first sentence, there's a mistake. It's not a grammar mistake, but it's a process paragraph mistake. Do you remember when we're doing process, we're talking about stages. We're not talking about types, reasons, ways, things like that. We're not talking about ways to create a sauce. You can create a sauce in your kitchen. You can create a sauce, I don't know, different ways. We're not talking about ways here. We have to focus on steps. So I want you to redo that topic because it's not focused well. It doesn't have a good controlling idea. Okay? So does that sound okay to everybody to do this for homework?
Yes, teacher.
Yes, teacher.
Good. I like that enthusiasm. Okay. Now we are out of time today. So what I'm going to do is stop sharing this. This actual paragraph is in the Blackboard lesson folder. So you just go in there and click on the Word document that's listed in the lesson folder. Okay? And so let me go ahead and just write down your homework up here on the screen. So let's start with the book. I want you to do the commas, practice 3 and 4, and that is on page 341 to 342. And I want you to do the editing process paragraph. There are 7 mistakes with the grammar, the structure thing, okay? So you guys helped find 3 mistakes. I would really like it if you, on Thursday, if you can tell me what kind of mistakes those were. Were they verb form mistakes? Were they comma mistakes? I would really like it if you can be ready to tell me what type of mistake those are, okay? I didn't hear anybody today telling, yeah, this is a comma splice, or we need to make a compound sentence, or, you know, this is an introductory comma, whatever. So I want you to see if you can give a name to that type of error, just to help you reinforce what we're learning in class, okay? So look for that, and then work on your lab assignment. I want you to do the animation. Has anybody done the animation recall and apply?
What is that, teacher?
In the My Writing Lab, when you click on the module or the section you're working on, like 2.8 or 6.2, whatever it is, there's a section for each one. It has an animation, which is like a lesson. It has recall, practice, and apply. So you get to do practice before you do your post test.
Yes, teacher, you showed the other day, yes.
Yes, I showed everybody in a video or 2 ago. So make sure you watch all the videos that I posted. So anyways, work on those, and then 3 post tests are due on Friday for a grade. Okay? And just keep working on your paragraph.
Okay, teacher.
Because Thursday or Friday, I would like for you to turn in your process paragraph. Thursday, we'll practice more, we'll review some more, and then hopefully you'll be ready to turn in your paragraph on Thursday evening or Friday. And that's it, guys. Questions before we go?
No, teacher.
No, teacher.
Thank you for all your hard work, and hopefully I'll see you Thursday. So have a great rest of your day.
Yes, teacher. Thank you, you too.